Alright guys, and welcome back to Forza Motorsport 6. This is Car Wars episode 11, and in today's episode it's going to be a Hellcat shootout between the Dodge Charger Hellcat and the Dodge Challenger Hellcat. Of course, the purpose of this is to find out which is actually fastest. Of course, the Charger is a 4-door sedan and the Challenger is a 3-door coupe, or 2-door coupe. And both of them do come with the same 707 brake horsepower engines, so it's going to come down to which is easier to drive, which is lighter and easier to control. So it's going to be interesting. First up, we're going to have the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. I'll see you at Watkins Glen circuit. Okay guys, and we are back with the Dodge Charger Hellcat. So let's see how it gets off the line. Okay, bit of wheel spin. Even in third, it just kind of chirps third. It's nice. Sounds really good. Coming in this first corner and fucking hell, right. Understeered really wide. Car just, it feels as though it's carrying a lot of weight. It's a very big, heavy car. Yeah, it definitely does feel quite heavy. As per usual, we are doing 3 laps. It's my first time ever driving this car, so do expect numerous crashes or fuck-ups, but really this car does feel quite heavy. Also, I believe it has, yes, it has an 8-speed transmission, and shit. I was too busy looking at the gears, I was too busy seeing how many fucking gears the bastard had, and I ended up going off the track. But it doesn't stop, it doesn't corner, it just feels heavy and big. But then again, I do believe this thing's basically just designed to hit 204 miles per hour. You know, fuck going around corners, as long as it goes really fast. We're coming up in through here, I'm trying to keep it pinned, I'm trying to maximise the speed, and the car just wants to go sideways, it's getting unbalanced. But we are 5 seconds faster through that sector. You know, we couldn't have got any slower from the first lap. Even there, the car was just refusing to get stopped. It is carrying a good amount of speed through that corner, it's about 80-90 miles per hour. So it does want the corner. It does have big, fat rear tyres as well. I believe they're what about a 325 or maybe a bit bigger, I'm not too sure, I can't remember. But they're big. So if you do launch this thing correctly, you can really pick up the speed and basically outrun a lot of supercars. This car is incredibly fast. It's 0 to 60 times less than 4 seconds. We're coming across the line there with a 121. Yeah, it's not the best. Isn't exactly the worst. I'm just trying to be a bit cautious coming into these corners because the car carries a lot of weight, and it sometimes does understeer slightly. Hopefully the Challenger feels a lot better than this. The Challenger is of course lighter than the Charger, due to the fact that it is a slightly smaller car, it has less doors, but it's still a very big car. Coming through there, and yes, just a bit sideways at the end. As hard as this car is to drive, it's a lot of fun whenever you can get things right. I really do like just being able to put this car sideways. It suits it so well. It's got the power to spin up the rear wheels and kick the back end out. So it's definitely one of the best drift cars from stock. I've only got a couple of corners left to go. Starting to get slightly used to the way this car handles, and not exactly in my comfort zone yet. I've never actually driven these cars or any of the Hellcat Dodge vehicles, due to the fact I was never really that interested in them. I wasn't too sure what they were, but we're coming across the line with a 121.687 as the fastest lap. It's not bad. I should have been able to do better. I'm sure this car can do much better, but for a first time in the car, definitely it's quite an enjoyable car to drive. However, we're going to get the Challenger up next and see how it can do on track. I'll see you back in a second. Okay guys, and we are back with the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat. So let's see how this car does. on these 3 laps. As per usual, I will probably spin the wheels like a motherfucker. Yep, there we go. Just lay off, yes. Oh, this car also has a semi-automatic transmission. Strange. I actually thought this came with a 6-speed manual. 3 there, and I had the exact same problem. I thought this car would be able to carry more speed than it actually could, and it didn't. So yeah, that's my fault. Again. The interior I actually think looks better in this car. Looks a little bit more sporty. Like that big touchscreen thingy in the middle. Looks nice. Steering wheel also looks really good as well. Let's see what else. Ooh, nice. Do you like the interiors in the Dodge vehicles? I think they look, you know, they're very nice looking. Of course, we don't really get Dodge vehicles in Northern Ireland. We would maybe see a Durango every so often, and one of them Dodge Avenger things. I think that's like a fucking rip-off of a Charger or something. They're ugly wee bastards, so they're... But like, we don't get very many Dodge Challengers or Chargers or Vipers or any of the good Dodge vehicles. You know, we very rarely ever see any Chryslers either. I think we only get 300Cs and them big fucking people carrier gay looking things, you know. That's about it. And I was white again. Too busy talking about Chrysler vehicles and just driving like a twat. Anyway, first lap again, I assumed that it was very bad. I wasn't really paying much attention to that. Coming up and through here, you can actually feel the car starting to lose traction. Yep, there we go. But again, this car is very much like the Charger in that it's, you know, it's a drift car from stock. You don't have to do very much, you don't even have to add any power. You can just kind of go for it. Brakes on this thing, they're still pretty shit. You know, this is the sportier version of the Dodge vehicles, but the brakes still feel quite bad. And it wasn't able to carry as much speed through that corner. Whenever we started to get the power down and try and pick up the speed in that corner, the car just started to understeer wide. But we are 5 seconds faster that sector, so we have that to be thankful for. Coming around this corner, just got the power on at the start, and through the back end around. I do like that about these high-powered rear-wheel drive American cars. They're not exactly the easiest to drive, but whenever you do master them and whenever you're able to throw them about, they're quite enjoyable. But we're across the line there with a 121, and yeah, they're cautioning me for that one, so yeah, it just doesn't want to get stopped. It was a bad example of going around that corner. That's how you don't take corners. Of course, if you do watch some of my Forza videos, you do learn how not to drive. Okay, let's see if we can get this corner right this time. Braked early again. Holding about 80, yes, drops down. We were sitting at 90 at the start, now we're around about 85-ish. And we're coming out of that corner at about 90. But I do like this semi-automatic transmission. Of course, it does shift faster than a manual. But I would prefer to have a 6-speed manual transmission due to the fact that it involves the driver a lot more. And of course, if you are driving a car like this, you do want to be involved. You want to actually feel how the car drives at mid-corner, and you want to be able to, you know, be in control. But we're across the line there with a 1 minute 20.624. So we're what, about a second faster than the Charger. You kind of have to expect that. The cars have exactly the same amount of power, but the Challenger is lighter. But that's, I had to admit, for the first time driving both of these cars, they were quite enjoyable. I actually do like them. I do think they look really good. However, I would prefer to have the Mustang GT350R. I think it just corners so much better. It revs a lot higher and the engine feels a lot more alive. However, these two cars are unbelievable to drive. They would decimate all American muscle cars in a straight line, but whenever you show them a corner, that sheer weight will just, you know, it just doesn't corner as fast. I believe the GT350R feels a lot more alive and a lot more balanced on track. However, out of these two, for this video, the Challenger is the faster car. It wasn't exactly the easier car to drive. I found both cars quite difficult to drive. I'm going to stop flapping my lips now. I hope you have enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.